about getting, your products to the market is really a difficult step to go. Because I can say that I've received calls from people in Aminus, in Epikiro, RC. I've received people from the Omaeke region that, would ask me, don't I know people in Windhoek that can probably sell the produce or whatever they're selling? And it is difficult. Even to get it to Windhoek is difficult. So I can really agree with what you're saying.
You understand how difficult the practical side is. Let's take AMTA. AMTA was established to create those marketing channels. Now you've got, and I'm not picking on Aminus or anything. I was there last year, and it's very obvious what a fertile environment it is
very much.
When it's raining, or where there's enough water, and there are very few places in Aminus that's got enough water for the entire planting season. This is also another limiting factor. When it rains in Namibia, it tends to be very erratic. One day it floods, and the next day it just drizzles. So this is all things that we have to consider. But let's take Aminus. Let's say there are 200 farmers there, and they each produced 500 to 600 pumpkins in a specific season. Let's say it was a good season. So now we are looking at about 80 to 90,000 pumpkins. That's a lot. You are going to need a couple of trucks to transport them to the market in Windhoek. And the market in Windhoek is not really a market in the liberal sense of the word, that it gets supplies every day and there are wholesalers that come and buy there every day. It's a ad hoc market. So AMTA sends out 2 or 3 trucks. Now, if you know these 30-ton trucks, they go for 3.5 million each. Now look at the investment. You're talking about 6 to 8 million in investment in rolling stock. This is the truck. To send it out there, they load the pumpkins. It's probably a couple of trips. They bring it to Windhoek. Now suddenly, there are, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, within a week or 10 days, there are 50,000 pumpkins in Windhoek. What do you do with 50,000 pumpkins in a week? You see the problem. We need market mechanisms, but they have to be more than ad hoc market mechanisms. It has to be an established marketing channel, and it has to function every day. Otherwise, it doesn't merit the cost to pay the people or to go pay for the heavy trucks to bring the loads in, to sit with some days where they've got nothing to sell or where there's nothing to do. If you look at natural products, you will see that there's a certain cyclical movement in a season. It's not any different anywhere else in the world. Pumpkins you plant at a certain time. Grapes you harvest at a certain time. Mealies you plant at a certain time. So wheat you can plant in summer or you can plant it in winter, but there are seasons. You can't ignore the seasons. The good Lord made the stuff to grow when it's warm or when the sunshine is correct, when the water is correct. But it also implies that if you want to have a functioning marketing channel, you cannot be dependent on 5 or 6 commodities. You have to have 50, 60, 100 different types of products. And immediately it comes back to that whole thing. Getting from subsistence farming, planting a few mealies around my house is a very, very far way, or very far distance away from producing 20,000 tons of mealies, which is, if you compare us with South Africa and Zimbabwe, in the maize producing areas, this is typically what a fairly substantial white maize farmer in Zimbabwe will produce. But the conditions are different.
Yes.
Now we get back to the whole thing of red meat and the red line, and I need to put this in context. The people who talk about the red line usually don't know what they're talking about. They're ignorant, and their gains, they only have short-term targets. The red line was started in 1964, and incidentally, I'm not going to mention his name on the radio, but my uncle was the person in charge of putting up the red line. And whether you like it or not, the fact is the red line protects the red meat market for Namibian farmers. If you look at the statistics of the last 2 months of February, March, from more or less the middle of January to more or less the middle of April, so it's 3 months. And you also see that beef exports to South Africa basically came to a halt because of foot and mouth. The border was closed, not by us, but by them, despite the red line. So now you look at the stats and you see, wow, what is the next most important